over here, I made a couple of videos about 3 months ago. And my whole thing was talking about, Web3 not being very safe for new digital collectors, people who don't know a lot about crypto and don't know really how to use their wallets that well, or don't know how to not get scammed. And even people who are experienced get scammed. So I made this video and it had a lot to do with the Elmond X hack at the time and tips to stay safe and connecting your wallet and all this stuff. Elmond X did a great job, by the way, on that whole thing and with their discords, that got hacked and everything. So hopefully they moved on from that. Then I did another video here about Web3 is failing digital collecting. And it was really around the same kind of points with the rugs and the scams and the shady activity, all sorts of things that were going on at the time. And this obviously is not stopped. This will not change. This is like going to continue to go on for sure. So, a platform like VV to me seems to be the safest option, or Pinnacle or Cryptoys, or Candy, these kind of sites that are like centralized, but NFTs seem to be the safest way to go right now, as long as you trust the owners and the ownership, which I do fully, right? So this is kind of the two videos that I made, but I'm going to take it a step further today and go into the physical space, because I don't know if you guys follow physical comic book collecting as much as I do, or as much as some other people do. Maybe you're starting to get more into it now, but there's been a couple of major, there's been, one massive, absolutely massive and crushing scam that is unfolding right now with graded comic books. And if you don't follow a couple of these guys' channels, I'm going to show you these channels right here. You need to follow these channels because, if you're into digital collecting like I am as well, digital comic books, and you're into physical comic books, because I know a lot of you are getting into it if you hadn't before, and you're going after graded comics and you're trying to get the collection going, match up your VV comics. There is a massive kind of thing that's happening with the credibility of CGC, the grading authority with comic books right now. And it's unfolding literally within the last couple of days. And I'm going to talk about it right here. And it just, to me, reinforces even more, I'll never stop collecting physical comics. Okay. Just so you know, and believe me, that industry is one of my all-time favorites, vintage toys and everything. But it's not super safe to collect there if you don't know what you're doing either. Okay, so, the collecting platform like a VV or a Cryptoy or Candy or, McFarlane is also pretty safe, I think. But you have to be more advanced. You have to have knowledge in, obviously, crypto to use McFarlane. And they did have that entire security breach breakdown, which was not cool. I mean, they had to remint everything. So, I mean, I don't think that could happen on a platform like VV. So, but in the physical space, what is going on? There's two really great videos I want you to watch, but there's one in particular that just dropped today. So if you don't follow Swaggelhoss right here, he's a really good, comic book YouTuber. And he's been on, he's talked with Sleeping Comics and other people in the VV community. He's done videos on VV digital comics, and he's not against them. I think he sees kind of how the future is going, but he's definitely a physical comic book, channel. Lots of views, pretty good, really good stuff like that. And he did a video just yesterday about this, scam that's going on right now. The Mark Jeweler Fooler, they're calling it. And it's really basically CGC label swapping and comic books that have been that aren't the actual ones that were graded inside these sealed slabs. And over here is another video to watch right here on another great channel called Automatic Comics. And he does an amazing job breaking this down as well. Now, let me just give you a brief outline of what's going on with the situation. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, as someone who is a business owner and a shop owner in the physical collecting space, I have a lot of background and knowledge on this kind of stuff, like scams in the physical comic book collecting space, or in vintage toys, selling through eBay. There's mail fraud scams. There's counterfeits. There's all sorts of crazy stuff that happens if you're a collector. In anything in sports cards and anything like that. None of this stuff can happen on VV. Okay, I just want you to know that none of this stuff is possible with digital NFTs, okay, like in the VV environment, okay, for example, there is this specific scam. So what is happening here and what's been going on is that, there have been comic books that have been graded here that have been showing up on an eBay account, basically, someone's eBay account. And at first, what you had is you had the same, basically the same serial number on two different slabs, and it's the same, but it's not the same comic book in the slab. So what has happened is basically somebody or CGC themselves at CGC, or this person has figured out a way to basically open up these slabs, switch the labels out for these like higher level labels, okay, like higher grades, and then switch the comic book on the inside. So the comic book is not even the same book. So one good example right here is that this on screen right here, the same certification numbers are on these two different slabs. Okay. And they're both 9.8. So basically it's like if you had a comic that was a 9.8 grade and you wanted to get the custom label that they do, you can have it like basically regraded, or not regraded, but you can have it like remounted in a way, and you can have a new label put on it, right? So what has happened though is that the comic on the inside is not the same comic afterwards. And this person's been selling these, right? So basically the comic from the old grade is like high level. It gets a new label put on it, shows up later. It's not the same comic on the inside because people can see the quality of it is not as good. So somebody swapped out a 9.8 pristine on this particular Amazing Spider-Man 252, and they've got the slab redone with the custom beautiful label at the top, which people really like and want. And then of course the comic on the inside is a lower grade. So it's been swapped out. And so what happened here is people are trying to figure out like what is going on with this. Why is that happening, right? And so, in these two videos, they go after it, like Swaggelhoss talks about it right there, and Automatic Comics talks about it right there, and they break the whole thing down. And they're trying to figure out, is this an inside job at CGC, the grading company, okay? Or is this just somebody who's figured out how to remake these labels and open up these slabs? So it is a massive, massive thing, right? But the thing about it is that there has been an actual, there has been a breakthrough in the case. Okay. So what I want to do right now, if you guys want to hold on one second. Let me just do this right here. Hold on one sec. If I can bring this up, I'll show you the video that you guys want to watch right here. This video by Swaggelhoss right here just came out, and things just got out of hand. The smoking gun has been found for the CGC scam. So basically, there's a huge scam for a 9.8 newsstand Amazing Spider-Man 252. And a smoking gun has been found by Ryan at Automatic Comics. That's Automatic Comics, the channel I just said right there. It now, so basically, CGC needs to respond to this right here because it looks like it could be an inside job. And so what this does, okay, you guys can watch the whole video and everything like that. But what this does is it totally can undermine the entire, comic book grading industry, because we don't know how many of these books are out there that are actually like have been swapped. Okay. And they aren't the real grade. The other thing is that the comic book inside the slab might not even have the inside, might not even have the proper stuff on the inside of the book. It might not even be you know what I mean by that? So there is a massive thing going on right there. So this is a video I really recommend you guys watch. Go to Swaggelhoss's channel and you guys can actually watch that video and get in on that whole thing. But the whole point I wanted to make about this is that, if you're talking about digital collecting and you're talking about NFTs, okay, like this kind of stuff just can't happen on a platform like VV. Okay, it can't happen over here. Once you mint it and it's signed, you can't like swap the book out. You can't have a counterfeit. Like it doesn't work that way. So, there's a real sense of like, when you're talking about comic book collecting, you're talking about, like NFTs, there's a real sense of, this is the real deal. And one of the things that people do when they go for, when they go for slabbed comic books is they want that, they want that certification that the grade they're getting is the true grade. and that they're actually buying something that is actually legit. And what happens is some people don't like getting their comics graded. Some people like for myself, I don't do the grading process very often. I like raw copies. I'll take some slabs here and there, but I actually like raw copies because, I can feel it and look at it. I know it's the real thing. Inside that slab, up until now, you've never really questioned whether it was the actual comic in there or if it was the proper grade. Now, because of what's going on with this label swapping and this whole thing with the book swapping that is breaking right now, this is not old news. This is literally happening right now. This brings into question all the grades on all the top books, because this particular seller, not this guy, this is his channel. This is Automatic Comics. This is not the guy doing it. He's the one breaking it. There's multiple comics that have been on his eBay channel, or his eBay store, and that have this phenomenon occurring. So they've been breaking it down. So quite amazing, you guys. So if you're getting into physical comic book collecting, okay, from Vivi, just know that getting a slab it should be just as safe, but it isn't. Okay. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. And take it from me, somebody who is, owned a store, seen lots of scams, lots of people who have come through my shop trying to sell me stuff that isn't legit, fakes. I've had lots of issues go on eBay with when you send someone something, they claim they didn't get it, or they send you the wrong thing, or all this kind of stuff that comes in with high level, like collecting, like high level, at the highest level. We're not talking about all the low level stuff. I mean, we're talking the highest level. Like these books right here sell for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and people are buying them and they're thinking they have actually something legit. And what it's turning out to be, they don't actually have the legit grade. So what is going to happen now? So these comic book YouTubers have been calling now out on CGC to say, hey, what is going on? You need to speak on this now. We need to find out what's going on. Right now, if you go over, like I said, to Vivi, for example, and like I said, you guys, I come from the physical collecting space, okay? That's where I come from. That's where I started. I'm of an age where people of my age maybe aren't even here yet, right? These are all the comic book collectors we're trying to not trying to, but we're saying, hey, you guys can come over here and you can also go after these exclusive covers here that are only offered by Vivi, and these Return of the Jedi books that we just got right here with this art that was created only here on this platform. And you got Candy over there doing DC stuff right here, which is absolutely awesome, right? And things like that. I mean, there is no worries or concern about if you actually own the actual item. I mean, if you break it down to the very base level of collecting, you want to know if you own the actual item, right? I mean, if you're collecting a comic book in the real world, you don't want it to be, you're spending thousands on it. You want it to be legit. And you want to trust. And the people who are selling these, they may not even know that book got swapped on the inside, or those labels are wrong, because the label says a 9.8, but actually, the scam, the person took out the book that got the original grade and swapped in an 8.0, because they're looking at these comics right here on these channels and they're seeing that these comics actually are completely different in the slab with the same certification number. So it is a huge scandal going on in the physical space. And I'm still going to be collecting physical comics, for the rest of my life. And I recommend that you do as well. But there is a big movement going back to ungraded raw copies. Ungraded. I know people want that grade. The funny thing is, I was going to say, is that even people who don't like grading, they will buy graded comic books and then open it up just because they want to have the raw copy in their hands. But they'll still buy the graded one just because they want to, be clear that it's actually the comic. They want to make sure that, because once it has that grade on it, it's supposed to be, well, this is a 7.0 and they know, or this is an 8.0 or whatever, a 9.6 or something. And so they want that reassurance. But is it really real on a lot of these now? This is the crazy part. So CGC's got to have that happen. And the crazy thing about that is you can talk about Vivi having drop day delays or like not having MCP yet, you know, or those kind of things for sure. But you can't talk about like, you know, this comic book right here not being actually this comic book because it's got the mint number right there to match and you're good to go. That just doesn't happen in the digital space. It removes a lot of that scamminess, the counterfeitness. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. Right? It removes it all. So pretty cool if you ask me to be collecting digitally right now. And just make sure if you're buying slabs, comic book slabs, make sure that your seller is trusted. But at the same time, it's not even the seller's fault now in some cases, because how many of these comic books have now been distributed amongst the community that are not properly graded, that have been scammed and swapped? So this is a really big deal, and they're going to keep on digging into this whole thing right here for sure, right? So that's quite something.